What if I told you that some of the most bulletproof perennials for beginners aren't sitting in those neat rows at the garden center, but growing wild in abandoned lots and forgotten farm edges across America? Most people don't know this, but while we're replanting the same annuals every spring and babying finicky hybrids, there's a whole world of perennials that actually thrive on neglect. These plants have been quietly surviving droughts, freezes, and complete abandonment for decades. I've spent the last 15 years tracking down these forgotten gems through university extension trials, USDA breeding records, and heirloom seed exchanges. What I found surprised me. The toughest perennials aren't the ones being marketed to beginners. They're the ones that got pushed aside when the gardening industry shifted toward quick profits and shipping convenience after World War II. Number 7 produces edible flower buds per clump every season, and number 2 literally walks across your garden and plants itself, multiplying from one start into a fence-line forest that feeds you for years. If you want more of these hidden gardening gems that actually work for real people with real lives, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I dig up these forgotten varieties every week, so you don't have to spend years learning what works the hard way. So let's get into it. Here are 13 perennials even black thumb beginners can't kill, ranked from solid survivors to absolutely unkillable garden legends. Number 13. French sorrel, the windowsill rebel. French chefs snipped sorrel from window boxes, brewing it into sharp sauces while delicate herbs wilted in summer heat. Rumex scutatus, French sorrel, with slender arrowhead, leaves 4 to 6 inches long in glossy green. No flowers unless stressed, mounding 12 to 18 inches tall. Basil leaves produce oxalic acid crystals, delivering lemony tang without fruit, while deep taproots access subsoil moisture via specialized pathway adaptations that work like desert plants. Extension reports show good survival in drought trials, with yields holding at reasonable amounts per plant annually. New leaves unfurl every few weeks from spring through fall. Established crowns staying productive for 10 to 15 years. Sow seeds 1/4 inch deep, thin to 12 inches apart in sandy loam at pH 5.5 to 6.7, 4 to 6 hours sun, mulch with 2 inches straw to suppress weeds, harvest outer leaves at 4 inches, snapping clean, shear mound to 2 inches after cutting for regrowth. The reason French sorrel got overlooked is simple. Herb sections in big box stores stock basil flats, edging out low-water perennials that don't fit their vendor catalogs. French sorrel offers what it has offered for centuries, zing from stone. That's the entire care routine. Number 12. Asparagus, the space-age spear factory. Asparagus officinalis Jersey Knight shows thick green spears 6 to 8 inches tall budding from red-scaled crowns, ferns reaching 4 to 6 feet with feathery branches. Spears emerge from storage rhizomes packed with asparagine amino acids, driving rapid spear elongation via high-speed vascular bundles that work like plant hydraulics. Extension trials track Jersey Knight yielding reasonable amounts per crown yearly after year 3, with good plant retention over 10 years. Plant crowns when soil hits 50 degrees, first light spears in year 2 after 2-week harvest, full 6 to 8 week cuts by year 3, producing 25 plus years from one bed. Dig 6 to 8 inch deep trenches, 12 to 18 inches wide, space crowns 12 to 16 inches apart, buds up, cover with 2 inches soil, then hill up gradually, full sun 6 plus hours, water, deeply weekly first year. Cut dead ferns in spring before emergence. The reason asparagus got sidelined is simple. Breeders shifted to varieties for thicker shipping spears, overlooking Knight's tolerance for heavy clay soil. It's like a green factory that punches out spears for decades on autopilot, and it's been growing in abandoned homesteads for generations. I'm curious where you're watching from today. Are you in a place where you remember asparagus patches or rhubarb crowns growing wild behind old farmhouses? Drop a comment and tell me which of these forgotten perennials your grandparents might have grown, or which one sounds most promising for your own backyard. Number 11. Rhubarb, the comeback king. Victorian gardeners revived rhubarb after crown rot outbreaks, dividing Victoria crowns that bounced back from soggy soils where others failed. Rheum rhubarbarum victoria forms massive heart-shaped leaves 2 to 3 feet wide on 4-foot stalks, crowned by fluffy white panicles, if not blanched, crowns bulging 3 feet across. Petioles store protective compounds, deterring rot microbes, while fibrous roots regenerate from remaining tissue after division. Extension trials show Victoria with good recovery from crown rot versus modern hybrids over 5 years. Stalks thicken from division. Peak harvest years 3 to 8 at 5 to 10 pounds per plant, enduring 20+ years. Plant 2-year crowns 3 feet apart in enriched soil at pH 6.0 to 6.8. Full sun or light shade. Bury 4 inches deep with 4 inches compost below. Mulch 4 inches straw. Force by covering crowns in February for early stalks. Pull when 12 to 18 inches, snapping easily. The reason Victoria rhubarb disappeared is simple. Breeding programs emphasized disease-free hybrids like Canada Red for uniform pies, shunning rot-resistant heirlooms that looked too wild. Think of it as the comeback king of the veggie patch, rising from rot to pie filling. One planting lasts 2 decades. Here's what most people miss about these forgotten perennials. They survived because they had to, not because someone bred them to look pretty in a pot. Number 10. Daylilies, the endless candy machine. Hemerocaulis hybrid Happy Returns pumps out 4-inch trumpet flowers in soft yellow on 18-inch scapes, with grassy leaves arching to 12 inches wide. These rebloomers pack flavor compounds in their buds that boost taste and resist spoilage, turning unopened flowers into crunchy, sweet pops you eat like asparagus tips. Extension trials show Happy Returns yielding many buds per mature clump over a season in zones 4 through 9. Buds swell visibly after scapes emerge, with peak harvest from June through September in rebloom cycles that just keep coming. Snip 3 to 4 inch buds just as they color. Space crowns 18 inches apart in loamy soil at pH 6.0 to 7.0. Water weekly to 1 inch deep during establishment. Mulch with 2 inches shredded bark. And divide every 4 years when centers hollow out. The reason reblooming daylilies got forgotten is simple. Commercial cut flower farms ditched them, chasing hybrid tea roses for Valentine's Day bouquets instead of food crops. Think of it as your garden's endless candy machine that works on solar power. The flowers taste like sweet lettuce with a hint of honey. Number 9. Chives, the flavor straw. What gardeners call chives aren't the skinny onion wannabes. Allium schoenoprasum sports thick, hollow tubes that thrive from full blast sun to dappled shade. This herb sports 8-inch blue-green blades in grassy tufts, reaching 12 inches tall, topped by pinkish-purple spheres in June. Hollow leaf architecture traps moisture inside, channeling it straight to growth tips via specialized tissue that works like plant plumbing for shade-proof vigor. Extension trials rate chives highly for uniform cuts across 4 to 8-hour sun exposures in zones 3 through 9. Roots establish in 2 to 3 weeks from division, with first harvest at 6 inches tall, then every 3 weeks for many cuts yearly. Plant 6-inch divisions 8 inches apart in soil at pH 6.2 to 6.8. Snip tops at 4 inches leaving 2-inch stubs. Water to moist but not soggy weekly. Top dress with 1 tablespoon balanced fertilizer per square foot monthly. And shear back stragglers in fall. The reason quality chives vanished is simple. Grocery chains locked in imported garlic chives for year-round shelf packs, sidelining perennial varieties as too regional for mass distribution. It's like a flavor straw that sips sun or shadow with equal enthusiasm. One division becomes a permanent herb patch. Number 8. Greek oregano, the space station scrubber. Oreganum vulgare subspecies Hirtum creeps, with 1-inch fuzzy grey-green leaves on 12-inch stems, spiking white flowers in summer. Essential oil glands in woolly leaf hairs pump out aromatic compounds, killing microbes, and locking water during drought like a natural preservative system. Extension studies confirm Greek oregano survives extended dry spells in sandy soils without irrigation. Seeds germinate in 10 to 14 days at 65 to 70 degree. Soil temp, full ground cover in 2 years, spreading 24 inches wide. Sow 1/8 inch deep, 12 inches apart in pH 6.5 to 8.0 rocky soil. Water bi-weekly first month, then ignore. Trim tips monthly for bushiness, harvest sprigs at 6 inches when flowering starts, and propagate by 4-inch woody cuttings in summer. The reason Greek oregano disappeared is simple. Big box nurseries shifted to potted annual basils, as oregano cuttings don't ship alive in plastic trays for weeks. Greek oregano offers what it has offered for centuries: spice from stone. It's been flavoring Mediterranean dishes since ancient Greece. Number 7. Lemon balm, the sunny hug. Grandmas brewed lemon balm tea to calm kids after schoolyard scraps, plopping sprigs straight from the yard into mugs. Melissa officinalis bushes to 24 inches with crinkled heart-shaped green leaves, pale chartreuse and lemon-scented, dotted by tiny white flowers in July. Square mint family stems host calming compounds, easing stress via brain receptor binding without making you drowsy. Extension guides praise its chaos tolerance, self-seeding mildly in zones 4 through 9 amid weeds and neglect. Cuttings root in 7 to 10 days in water at 65 degrees. Bush fills 18 inches in 60 days. Perennials yield for 10+ years with annual cuts. Take 4 to 6 inch stem cuttings with 2 nodes. Plant 20 inches apart in pH 6.5 to 7.0 compost-amended soil. Water when top inch dries. Feed compost tea every 4 weeks. Shear to base after flowering for fresh flush. Harvest. Leaves at 6 to 8 inches tall, taking 1/3 maximum. The reason lemon balm got buried is simple. Herb tea conglomerates pushed bagged chamomile nationwide, burying self-propagating lemon balm as too untidy for commercial harvest. It's like a sunny hug in leaf form that multiplies itself. But number 6 is the one that turns dirt into dinner without asking permission. Number 6. Comfrey, the underground pump. Symphytum uplandicum bocking 14, sterile hybrid, towers 5 feet with broad hairy leaves and purple bell flowers, taproot plunging deep into subsoil. Healing compounds in leaf mucilage accelerate wound repair, while non-flowering status prevents weedy spread across your property. Extension trials show bocking 14 mining potassium from deep in clay soils, pulling nutrients no other plant reaches. Divisions sprout leaves in 3 to 4 weeks at 55-degree soil. Biomass increases yearly for 20-year stands that just keep producing. Plant 8-inch root cuttings 3 feet apart in pH 6.0 to 7.0 any soil. Water deeply first season bi-weekly. Chop leaves at 18 inches every 6 to 8 weeks for mulch. Banish flowers if any appear. Harvest ferments in 4 weeks for liquid feed at 1 to 10 dilution. The reason bocking 14 vanished is simple. Organic fertilizer companies favored kelp extracts, as Comfrey defies bagging for retail sale. Think of it as your soil's underground pump that works 24/7. The leaves make liquid fertilizer that rivals anything you can buy. Number 5. Lovage, the underground aqueduct. Remember how your grandma kept a towering green stalk in the kitchen window, snipping leaves for soups that smelled like summer fields, and it just kept growing no matter what? Levisticum officinale, lovage, features a celery-like giant reaching 6 feet tall with bright green, divided leaves like parsley on steroids and flat yellow flower clusters in June. This herb thrives thanks to its deep taproot, plunging deep into soil to tap water reserves others miss, plus protective compounds in the stems that deter chewing insects naturally. Extension trials confirm lovage yields good amounts of leaves per mature plant annually in zones 4 through 8 with 0 irrigation after year 1. Plant crowns divide and regrow visibly in 2 to 3 weeks at 55 to 65 degree soil temperature, hitting full 6-foot height by July in year 2 for 30+ years of harvest. Take 4 to 6 inch root divisions with at least 3 buds. Plant 18 inches apart in full sun to part shade. Soil pH 6.0 to 7.5. Water to establish with 1 inch weekly, then ignore. Harvest outer leaves at 12 inches long every 3 weeks, and side dress with 2 inches compost yearly. The reason lovage got sidelined is simple. Nurseries push dwarf celery hybrids for uniform shipping crates, sidelining lovage's unruly height that doesn't fit standard flats. Think of it as your garden's underground aqueduct, pulling moisture from depths no one else reaches. Alright, let's keep going because we're just getting to the really spectacular ones. If you're finding value in these forgotten gems, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're about to cover perennials that will completely change how you think about low-maintenance gardening. Number 4. Ostrich fern, the feathery shuttlecock. Mateuccia struthiopteris, ostrich fern, includes native North American varieties, visualized as 3 to 6 foot fronds with shaggy segments like ostrich plumes, sterile green in spring fading to tan, from a crown that spreads 2 to 3 feet wide. Its fiddleheads unfurl via coiled spring mechanisms, packing most of leaf length into a 4-inch tip that expands in 7 to 10 days, while fungal root partners boost nitrogen uptake in poor shade soil. Extension guides rate it highly for erosion control, stabilizing slopes with deep underground stems in zones 3 through 7. Fronds emerge 4 to 6 inches in 2 weeks at 50-degree soil temp. Mature clump blocks soil runoff after 3 years of establishment. Dig and divide crowns every 4 years into 6-inch sections with visible fiddlehead buds. Space 24 inches apart in moist shade. Soil pH 5.5 to 6.5. Mulch with 2 inches leaf litter annually. Cut fronds at soil line after frost. And harvest tender fiddleheads under 8 inches tall in April. The reason ostrich fern got forgotten is simple. Landscape firms favor sterile spreading junipers like blue rug for instant erosion cover, ignoring fern's slow elegance that takes years to establish. It's like a feathery shuttlecock anchoring your shady bank against every storm. The fiddleheads taste like asparagus with a nutty finish. Here's why these plants work so well for beginners. They evolved to survive without us. While we've been fussing over hybrid tea roses and babying annual flowers, these perennials have been quietly thriving in abandoned lots, forgotten farm edges, and the margins of old homesteads. They don't need perfect soil or weekly feeding schedules. They need you to plant them once, and then mostly leave them alone. Number 3. Japanese sacred lily, the quiet endurance champion. Japanese temple gardeners have propagated sacred lily from monastery stock for centuries, passing divisions mother to daughter through wars and typhoons. Rhodia japonica, Japanese sacred lily, seen as a 2 to 3 foot evergreen rosette of 2 foot strappy leaves, glossy dark green with cream edges, topped by orange berry clusters in fall. Thickened leaf bases store energy compounds, sustaining growth through months of low light, while specialized leaf undersides enable higher carbon dioxide uptake in deep shade than most plants. Extension guides validate its survival in most low-light trials across zones 7 through 10, outlasting hostas by significant margins. New shoots push through crown in 3 to 4 weeks at 60-degree soil temp. Berries ripen after bloom for 20-plus years from one plant. Plant 4-inch rhizome divisions with 3 to 5 leaves into 1-gallon pots or 18-inch spacing. Bright indirect shade 4 hours daily. Well-drained soil pH 6.0 to 7.0 amended with 20% pine bark. Water when top inch dries. Fertilize monthly, April through September, with 1/4 teaspoon balanced fertilizer per pot. Remove dead leaves at base. The reason sacred lily disappeared is simple. Breeders shifted to seasonal bloomers like impatiens for big box color rotation, burying evergreen lilies that don't fit annual replacement cycles. Rhodia japonica offers what it has offered for centuries: quiet green endurance in the darkest corner. Modern research has caught up in a dramatic way. What our great-grandparents knew by trial and error, university extension services are now proving with controlled studies. Number 2. Egyptian walking onion, the lazy onion that plants itself. Homesteaders during the Great Depression divided Egyptian walking onion clusters by hand, planting one start that multiplied into fence-line forests over winters. Allium proliferum, the Egyptian walking onion, includes the Catawissa strain, pictured as 2 to 3 foot stalks with hollow green tubes like chives, topped by clusters of half-inch bulbs that sprout pinkish topsets instead of flowers. Topsets form via aerial bulb production on stems, each containing daughter bulbs that root on contact with soil, cloning the parent without seeds in most cases. Extension guides confirm its hardiness in trials, enduring very cold lows in Zone 4 with minimal die-off over multiple seasons. Bulbs mature in 60 to 90 days from spring emergence, self-planting offsets every month or so to form new clumps 12 inches away from the mother plant. Source divisions from a single start by burying bulb clusters 1 inch deep, 8 to 12 inches apart in well-drained soil pH, 6.2 to 6.8. Partial shade okay, but full sun boosts sets. Water weekly first month. Then drought-tolerant? Snip greens at 6 inches for use and let topsets tumble where they will. The reason walking onions vanished is simple. Seed catalogs shifted to sterile bunching onions like evergreen white for uniform bundles, bypassing this self-propagator that doesn't need annual orders. It's like a lazy onion that strolls over and plants itself for supper. Think about that. One plant that walks across your garden and feeds you for decades versus buying onion sets every spring. Number 1. Sunchokes, the underground rebel. Backyard foragers dug up sunchokes from abandoned farm edges, watching them spread without a drop of care, while prized potatoes rotted nearby. Helianthus tuberosus, the sunchoke or Jerusalem artichoke with knobby tubers 2 to 4 inches long, tall sunflower stalks reaching 6 to 10 feet, topped by yellow daisies 3 inches wide. This perennial powers through via specialized energy storage compounds stored in tubers, fueling regrowth from tiny fragments even after tillage or harsh winters. Extension publications document its survival in trials across Midwest clays, yielding well without irrigation, fertilizer, or pest control. Tubers form by late September and multiply several times yearly from one plant, persisting many years in abandoned sites where nothing else grows. Plant 4 to 6 inch deep chunks, 12 to 18 inches apart in loamy soil, pH 6.0 to 7.5. Full sun 6+ hours daily. No fertilizer needed first year, but side dress with 2 inches compost annually. Harvest after frost when leaves yellow, leaving some in ground for next season's explosion. The reason sunchokes got buried is simple. Commercial potato breeders focused on Idaho russets for French fry uniformity, ignoring sunchoke's weedy independence that doesn't fit mechanical harvest. Think of it as the underground rebel that turns dirt into dinner without asking permission. Here's what these 13 perennials teach us about real gardening success. The most reliable plants aren't the ones being marketed hardest. They're the ones that survived decades of neglect in forgotten corners, the ones that kept feeding families through the Depression, the ones that came back year after year without fancy fertilizers or perfect conditions. If this video helped you discover some new garden possibilities, give it a thumbs up. Drop a comment below and tell me which perennial surprised you the most. Are you Team Sunchokes for that underground abundance? Team Walking Onions for the self-planting magic? Or Team Comfrey for that deep mining nutrition factory? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more forgotten garden gems that actually work for real people with real lives. Sometimes the most bulletproof perennials aren't in the glossy catalogs or the perfect nursery displays. Sometimes they're in the wild edges and abandoned lots, just waiting for you to bring them home.